There's nothing finer to me than to be on the water when that sun comes peeking in under that Carolina sky in the Lord's creation, ripping some lips on my favorite waters, taking blind hog adventures with some of my best buddies.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Blind Hog Adventures Inshore Saltwater podcast. So good to have you back with us this month. This month we've got an awesome guest with us. We're really excited to have him. Of course, you can always check us out on any platform. We are out now, like I said. If you're listening to this and you've had a little bit of a harder time maybe getting and finding the podcast, I know Spotify had been a little trouble at one time and some other things. I got some good news. We've kind of gone with a little bit of a different service. Now we're on over 10 platforms. So you can find us on Apple, Spotify, iHeartRadio, you name it. If you search it on any of your major platforms, it is now on there. So please do that and just kind of make sure you're up to date on those things. If you had a different link, just make sure you do that. But you can search it on anything. YouTube, you name it, it's on there. Also, just want to thank some of our podcast partners. We want to thank Redline Rigs, Backwater Bandits, Stroud & Son Marine over in Edenton,
Salt Strong,
of course, and
Salty Bay Baits.
Yes, sir. I mean, we've got
Fox Hollow Outdoors.
And we've had some great ones that have come alongside. And honestly, we've got enough now. It's hard for me to remember without writing them down. And that's a beauty. And it's awesome that you guys are becoming a part of this. And I say that because it's nothing that's coming to us. It's those folks that are going to be bringing things to you, trying to help you out in your everyday fishing world. And we just want to say thanks for coming alongside to those great partners. At this time, let's go ahead and introduce who we got with us. We're going to be, as always, joined by my partner to my right. I have Captain Gaston King of Kingfisher Charters, LLC. You got to hit the LLC. And then I'm excited about the guest we have today. We have got Mr. Bud Bishop with us, man, of Mott Ridge Charters. I consider him a good friend, someone that he's kind of mentored me a little bit in the last so many months. We've actually grown more of a friendship off the water than we have on the water. And so I want to appreciate you coming on, man. Thanks for being here.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and so we just appreciate that. So, Bud, why don't you get us started? Give us a little bit of a background, kind of how you got into fishing, kind of the road that led you to here, man.
Yeah. So I started, I think this is year 6 or 7, guiding full time. I did it part time for a while, but I was a farmer. We made wine, grew grapes, stuff like that. Well, your vines and your wine are dormant in the wintertime, so you got plenty of time to do stuff. So that's pretty much how it started.
Cool, man.
Yeah.
Now, what about growing up? Were you always fishy? Was that something that happened all the time, or was that something that kind of like became a later passion when you got a little older?
It was kind of a later passion. Yeah. I mean, I started probably 2010, 11.
Okay.
So yeah, it was good.
And you grew up where, on the Outer Banks? Is that right?
Banks, yep.
All right, and then you moved inland. Is that right?
Yep. I live in Plymouth now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
So the wine, where can we find this wine? Are you out of that completely?
I'm pretty much out of that. Yeah.
That sounds pretty good, though.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm pretty much out of that one.
Gotcha. So, what makes you tick, man? I know you love fishing, being on the water. I think you just added to the fleet. Didn't you just get you a new craft?
Yep. I just got a new boat back in November.
What is that? What are you running now on your fleet? I know you got a couple of different that you're running. So what kind of boats do you run?
Yeah, I got a 25 Seahawk and a 24 Skip.
Gotcha, man. So you can definitely mix it up and get some big water, some little water, stuff like that.
That's it.
Yeah, man. So I know you also fish various kinds of fishing throughout the year, which makes you a little different. So you're not just stuck on trout. You're not just stuck on a certain thing all the time. It opens up so carry us through your year. Let's maybe start now, winter. I guess we're getting still in the winter, kind of leaving there. Kind of where would you go now through the year? Kind of give us a progression of where you kind of find yourself moving around to, and what kind of species you follow.
So January through about middle of May, I just chase stripers.
Okay.
And then it's trout and drum till about beginning of October, and then it's just trout.
Gotcha.
For the rest of the year.
Gotcha. Now, is there anywhere particularly, you don't have to give none of the spots things, of course, but is there certain areas across the where our coverage area would be that you're kind of finding yourself moving to, or do you stay like we are, like Gasson's Pungo River based or whatever? Do you find yourself moving various places?
Yeah, I mean, wrever the bite's the best.
Okay.
That's where I'm going.
Okay, so they can find you about anywhere.
So, I mean, from the Albemarle, to the Croatan, to the Roanoke, to the Pamlico.
Gotcha.
I will go to the Noose if I have to. I don't like it.
Yeah, and you say drum. Now, when you say drum, you're speaking old drum.
Yeah, the old drum. July, August, September, stuff like that.
Gotcha. So if somebody's looking to book an old drum trip, or they're looking to book, do you do slot, old drum?
Yeah. I mean, the slot's just bycatch, because we're always just trout fishing.
Okay.
So I usually don't target those.
Okay. Now, do you target the old drum certain times of the year?
Yeah. July, August, September.
Okay. Now, you live bait, or are you popping cork, or?
I've always done the cork thing for them. We'll mix some bait trips in every now and then, but in like the past couple of years, they just kind of caught on to the cork a little bit. So, I mean, bait's kind of been the game.
Yeah. Cool, man. And that's the thing. I consider myself kind of a multifaceted, like I enjoy fishing for whatever's in season, and it just opens up and makes things kind of not so monotonous. Also, kind of, is it to break things up for you?
Yeah, I mean, my plan was to, kind of get a good client base and take them to do 3 different things during the year instead of just focusing on one thing, and then having, 300 separate groups to do that. So gives you more of a connection with your clients.
Yeah.
So it makes you well-rounded too. Yeah. I mean, and again,
when something like this happens.
Absolutely. I mean, that's huge. So for me, I'm primarily trout. I mean, I grew up trout, drum, flounder, but now, with me doing it part-time, I can just focus on what I want to focus on. So I'm kind of trout. Now, people call me and say, hey, can we do an old drum trip? I can do that, but I'm not. Yeah. I would rather pass it on to someone like you than do it myself. Yeah. I mean, I'm going to throw popping corks, and I like to do both sometimes. I'll throw bait out and then have a popping cork just somewhere. But it's good that you're well-rounded and can do it, and you've got the whole year too, which is nice.
Yeah, that's right.
But I was going to ask about the old drum. I mean, if you're fishing old drum, you're obviously looking for menhaden, you're looking for bait, you're looking for a ledge. What are? I mean, is there something that's, if you find bait, do you stop, or you? I mean, I know what you're doing as far as where the ledges are, but are you primarily looking for bait?
Yeah, I mean, you want to find bait on a ledge typically. If you're popping cork fishing or throwing spoons at them or something like that, I mean, any bait's good to stop on. But bait on a ledge is pretty much a dead giveaway.
Well, I've seen those drones, the drone footage of, and I guess you never really think about it here. They're there, but until you see it, and you see hundreds and hundreds of drones.
There's so many more there than you think there is.
Right. Yeah. I know. It is insane to see that. I mean, from us, our vantage point, I mean, we can't see that. And there's so many down. I mean, you're fishing sometimes deep water, 10, 12, 14 foot. I mean, and you just have to think, it's like the trout, man. There's so many trout that you don't see, don't catch. The drum are the same way.
Yeah, exactly right.
Seeing some of them guys, I know I watched some of the ones on Instagram or whatever, seeing some of those drone footages from the Outer Banks and stuff like that when they school up, like, let's say behind the lighthouse. That's a common place. People know they school up. But if they come in there for a certain amount of time and then leave, just seeing when they're there for that amount of,
it's insane.
It's amazing, man, to see nature and what God does and how He puts them there. And man, it's wild. It's beautiful. I mean, it's just absolutely beautiful.
Well, we were talking about this offline yesterday, but the big rockfish in the ocean.
Yeah.
I mean, they do the same thing in the ocean that the drum do. And I mean, they school up like that. They're massive. I mean, and they're after bait.
Yeah.
Which, we kind of talked about they might be making a comeback. I've never done that, so I'm not the one to talk about it, but it's kind of cool to hear that. I know my dad went, 20 years ago and did it. So, it's just a very similar type fishing style, just in a different place.
Yeah. It's fun. Like I said, anything you can do to have something that takes pressure off one species, and allows you to kind of expand your horizon and just have fun on the water, man, makes a huge, huge difference.
Oh, yeah.
So
don't get me wrong. If I could trout fish all year, I mean, I love them crazy things.
Yeah. So what is it about? All right. So we ask that sometimes too. What is it about a trout that draws you to it, man?
Just the challenge. Yeah, that's pretty much. I'm putting the puzzle together. That's pretty much it.
And I think that's the fun part as well. Is I never realized that when I realized why I was so bad for a long time. I mean, that's just being honest, because I thought I could just go out there and, oh, there's some bait, or I've heard people caught them over here. Why aren't I catching them? And then when you get out there and you realize that every bit of the wind, the pressure, what the wind has done yesterday versus this morning versus tonight.
Oh, it's crazy. Yeah.
It's nuts, man. And not saying I've got it figured out by any means, which no, I don't. But just realizing, okay, at least I'm starting to know what the pieces of the puzzle are, and then you wonder why someone like yourself is so successful, but you're on it every day. Like you,
Yeah.
So you're out there every day, right?
I try to do about 300 a year.
That's and if you're not, so is that 300 trips or 300 days on the water?
300 trips.
So even on the days, I know this, that's why I'm asking for the folks that maybe not, even on the days you're not running a trip, though,
You're going.
yeah. So that's the dedication that I think some people don't realize. When you find someone that is super successful, they are not there by accident. You're right. It's in your profession. You didn't get there by accident. You put time in, you put whatever it is. You went to school for this. Well, there's not a trout school. Yeah, there might be a one-day trout school, but there's not a school, right? The school is you're reading, you're studying, you're looking at the elements, you're doing all of these things. And so you're going to class every day. Is that about right? Oh, yeah. I mean, and so
It's something new every day.
that's right. And some guys will say, oh, it's not now, do you have what's the best way to ask this? Do you have a day that you'd be like, every now and then, no, I just don't feel like doing it, or that's your job and you're going to do it?
I mean, I just get up and go.
It's just not, it's second nature.
It's normal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I ain't got nothing else to do.
So when that's funny. But
Let me go into this. I mean, because I'm just part-time on weekends, right? And I'm sure you got a little bit different clientele, but to run 300 trips a year, I mean, I'm running maybe 20, 25, right? And I'm tired after a half Saturday. I mean, I'm back at 1 o'clock and I'm like, man, but my tackle and gear and everything gets destroyed most of the time. But I'm just sitting here thinking 300. I mean, I don't know that people understand what that takes. And I know there's some good guys and you're extremely successful, but 300 days, man, of your tackle just getting abused.
Oh, it's a lot. Yeah.
I mean, your body's got to take a beating, because I know how I feel after a day of being on the water for so long.
Well, you got to think you're standing on a fiberglass, or for some people, aluminum boat for however 6, 7, 8 hours.
Yeah.
That takes a wear and tear on you now.
And that was the main reason of getting that new boat. I mean, you were out there with me. It was tough as crap.
Man, it was 3 foot waves, and we were just, it was amazing. I was like, he said, just get on this side in case you might get wet. I'm talking, we're 3 foot waves. I ain't talking little, like maybe 3 foot. It was 3. Let's say it's 3 footers. It was definitely 3 footers, and I was like, whoa. When I come around there, I was like, wow, I was like, wow, that's a little rough. And I ain't worried about it. He's got it. But I mean, literally, you planed her down, man.
Yeah, she was good.
She rolled across it out. Never got wet,
Yeah.
nothing, man. And we were rolling 25 knots across them. I mean, it was amazing. It's definitely,
It's just less wear and tear on your body.
yeah,
for sure.
It was wild. We were able to have a conversation, not had to worry about getting beat up. I mean, it was definitely, I was like, wow, this is wild, man.
Yeah.
Bud talks about the challenge of the speckled trout, right? So I'm just sitting here thinking about this, and you have days that are absolutely perfect. The weather, everything on paper is perfect, and then boom. I mean, it's a rough day, a tough day out there.
Yeah.
I mean, do you see that? Do you have days you're like, man, I really don't want to go today. I don't know that they're going to bite.
Yeah, but those are usually your best days.
It's crazy how that works out, ain't it?
Yeah, I mean, usually if you're not on them good, that's usually when you're going to catch them. So.
Yeah, that's wild, man. And
That is more times than not. I mean, I got a bunch of clients that I'll call and I'll be like, man, save your money, it ain't going to happen. They're like, yeah, you said that last time, we're going.
It's funny how that works out. The days when nobody's on the water or the days where you catch the fish. It's crazy. But I mean, every day is different too. I mean, as far as you think you have them planned out, and then you go and it's, and for you, I know that's a little bit easier because you see it every day.
Yeah.
So that makes it nice. But 300 trips, man. Whew.
but you're also a trailer guy too, correct? So like, it doesn't matter if you know enough of the area. And so this is something I think will blow people's minds. How big of an area do you actually cover? I mean, you ain't talking about, don't give me spot to spot town, but let's just say, give me highways. In other words, would you be 17, basically highway 17 to the coast, and then probably decide on a normal day, if you look at the weather and you say, don't like that body of water, how far of an area will you go to catch fish? Just being real.
I mean, some days I'll drive an hour and a half one way.
Okay.
You know,
That's the dedication that I wanted people to understand when they talk about
Yeah.
what's the difference in successful. So me telling you, if someone goes or you follow a boat around, let's just be real. I was on the boat. People look for you. They look for your truck. And that to me, I hate that. Right?
That's got to get frustrating.
That's got to be frustrating, man.
it gets comical to a point though.
Yeah, but that's why I want people to understand when me and Bud talk, we would talk a lot of times on a daily basis through a text. My text is not, I will say, hey man, how'd it go today? But then I don't ever ask about, a lot of times it's never about fishing. It's never about, hey, where were you? I'll never ask those questions. It's not, so, but I know when I was on the boat with you, like literally your phone was blowing up the whole time. That's almost like you being at your job, whoever's listening, or me at my job, and all day long asking, hey man, I really want to do whatever. Give me your secrets. Give me your thing. Take money out of your pocket. That's going to be frustrating, man. I mean, I know it's got to be, I know you got a network of guys that you work with, but that's got to be just, I didn't understand that side of it till I went with you. And I was like, wow, it opened my eyes.
I mean, you get used to it, but there's certain people you can tell stuff and certain people you can't. I mean, I've got like I wouldn't say a circle, I'd say it's a triangle.
Okay.
That's good though.
It gets smaller and all.
Yeah, right.
But
well, I think you
good.
kind of have to have that too,
Yeah.
right? I mean,
yeah.
I know, and I'm a little bit the same. I give out way too much information to a lot of people, but I don't ever really ask for a whole lot. I just kind of do my own thing. I'm just kind of set up that way. But your success and everything has been pretty good. I mean, you guys go find him, and we'll get into that. But I mean, look at his pictures. I mean, the guy's on fish 24/7.
Yeah. There's not usually a day that you are not bringing fish over the gunnel. I mean, like, it is amazing, man. I go days and I'm like, I have no clue how he did it. Like, I literally got my butt handed to me today. But you may travel. Now will you pick up, if you're at a spot and you just say, this ain't it today, will you put it back on the trailer and head somewhere else and stuff like that?
A lot.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's not just getting there and figuring out. So honestly, you may get there and it may not be the spot. So you have to just say, all right, it's time to, I want it, so I got to go do it.
Yep. I mean, one of my last trips we put in around here, we fished for 3 hours, didn't have a bite. We loaded up and drove an hour and 20 minutes and caught 100 fish. We made the whole trip.
So, and
it was just a gut feeling. It doesn't always work out like that, but it did that day.
Yeah.
And now that guy, he's already rebooked and stuff, so it was worth it.
Well, I can tell you one thing, just from this short time, your wheels, when you're on the water, I guarantee you, just spinning.
Yeah.
Now, because me,
and that's why I love trout, man. I'm
yeah.
telling you, they're the craziest fish there is.
Well, they're so
I'll have
finicky.
them so dialed in, and then all of a sudden it's crazy.
Look, when they decide they don't want to bite, they're all done.
Oh yeah, they're all done.
But I mean, this man's moving an hour and 20 away, and I'm sitting here just moving spots. I mean,
that whole body of fish is done. You got to go to another body of fish.
And so, do you find that wherever you're at, when that large group you may be on, or that area of fish, when that creek or that bay or whatever you're looking at, right? All right, let's just say we're on the Pungo today. So we always sit here in the Redneck Lab. Everybody knows. Actually, we're a little high class than the Redneck Lab today. So for y'all don't know, we're recording this episode at 7 a.m. We got Bud. He was so nice to come. He said, but man, I got trips and I got to take care of my people. And I said, what time do you do it? He said, 7 o'clock Monday morning. We said, well, 7 o'clock Monday morning it is. And so he's actually got a charter after this. Is that right? So he's going to be heading to get to work this morning to do that as we are. But let's say you come out here on the Pungo today, and I know you're not, but let's say you come out here on the Pungo today and you fish the Pungo and all of a sudden it shuts down. You try a couple spots, do you kind of see that happening all through the waterway? Yes. I mean, is that normal for anybody you may fish?
Yeah. I mean, yeah.
What do you draw that to? Is it what do you, as you've been on the waters, you've kind of gained knowledge. Is there something that you find that changes or whatever that kind of contributes to that?
There's a key thing, but I can't tell you what it is.
Okay. If they want to know, book a trip.
Well, I mean,
that's okay. That's okay. I don't want you to share that. No, but
that's a lot of time.
There's a lot of time and intel in that. And that's, you have that permission the rest of this way to say that. I mean, by all means. But your tidbit is, if you're on a body of water,
there's something there.
Okay,
yeah.
So there's something there that you can learn. So honestly, that's the part of getting better and progressing and knowing your craft, right? So you always may wonder, man, if I move 200 yards down the bank or 500 yards down the bank, maybe I'm going to do something a little different. You're saying that may not always be the case. You may have to move 5 miles or 10 miles or 15 miles.
That's right.
So there you go. I mean, that's a learning thing right there that honestly, I didn't even know all the time. I know I've made a couple of those crazy moves that I was like, I caught them there. I may be in one spot, and I have drove an hour to another spot a couple of times. And my father-in-law Mike looked at me, and he was like, "You are nuts. You mean you're going to go put over there, and we got all this water here we know we catch fish in?" It's like a gut feel. I was like, I'm gonna try it. What have I got to lose? And honestly, one day I saw you on that, and I was like, what if he started here too, or if he just got here? That's pretty cool. I mean, it's kind of a thing of recognition. And I've made this comment before. If you're at a spot and you have come up, let's say we've been at a spot. I've told this story actually on the boat with you. It was foggy one morning, kind of like it is today, and I was fishing a point, and you really couldn't see 200 yards. And I remember you came up with a group, and you were kind of coming to that same point, and I was away from the crowds, and I was like, wow, I actually picked a spot that it honestly made me feel just as warm and fuzzy. I was like, I picked a spot that blew with fish. This is amazing. And then you didn't bother me at all. You just eased right off and went on down and found another spot, and which was very respectful. But I just thought, man, that is validation. Like I'm actually somewhere in the right spot of trying anyway. One time I had a spot about it, but it was not a cutter. It was actually like, wow, okay, because I look at you as a master of your craft. Like there's very few people that are a master of their craft. And this isn't to kiss your bottom or, to gain information. None of that. It's being respectful and showing.
I appreciate that.
I mean, really, man, and because there's a few people like that. I look at like DeHart, right?
Yeah.
DeHart is a master of his craft. You're a master of your craft. You look at Speckled Specialist down there, Ricky Kellum, a master of their craft. And you wonder, okay, why? Because they're always doing what they love and what they're out there to do.
And I was going to say dedication.
Yeah.
Yeah, when you got to pay your bills, you got to be successful.
Yeah. So this is what you do.
This is it.
This is it. This isn't a hobby. This isn't whatever. This is if the lights and water are getting cut off or on, this is because you got people
That's right.
Yeah. That's wild, man. And
I mean, repeat clients is what it's all about.
yeah.
So that's what you're after.
Yeah.
Now, I mean, do you still get excited and have fun?
Oh yeah.
When you're okay.
Yeah.
I mean, because I'm sitting here thinking in my head.
Is it just work, or does it become?
Right.
Do you still get that fire like
It's
that?
just a challenge to it.
Okay,
I
so
mean,
you love it. I mean, you
we
actually
get out there and pull up to the first spot and we're just bailing them. That's really not as fun as, I get the first spot and they're not biting. And I'm like, okay,
You would prefer them not to bite at the first spot.
Yeah.
Is that what you said?
Yeah.
You like the puzzle.
I like the puzzle.
Ooh.
Yeah.
See that's
different.
That's what separates right there.
That's different because if I pull up and I've got guys, I'm instantly, all right.
You're nervous if they don't bite.
I mean, generally, and you can talk about this if you want to, but I generally have 3 spots. Before I start, I have 3 spots that if I don't get them in this 3, then I'm working. So, I mean,
You're planning out of the day, all that stuff.
Yeah.
Well, that's the way I do. I mean, my chart, look at my weather, look at my stuff, and I pick.
and to me, my first spot is the most important. But I'm in a little different position. Let's just say I'm fishing Pungo. I might be competing with 50 boats.
Exactly.
So if I'm not in the best spot, the first spot first, then my day, I'm fishing behind somebody all day.
When I was fishing over here all the time, that's how it was.
Yeah, it's
When you had your juice, you had to be there. First thing, and you just had to camp out. They were gonna, around here, they're gonna be there eventually. You just sat there and sat there and sat there until it happened.
Have you seen that the number of boats on the water has made you expand your areas to get away from some of those areas? Because I know they crowd us if we catch a fish. I can't imagine how far you have to go just to hide your truck so people don't try to go and put over at a ramp and chase you down. I know it happens. It's got to.
Yeah, it happens.
I mean, I ain't gonna lie. I pulled up here in Belhaven one day and I was like, I'm just gonna go to Belhaven because it's close. And I saw your truck and been like, hey, Bud's here. It must be some fish around.
You see his boat or
no,
just around it?
No, I see his truck and I'm like, wow, there. But then come to find out after we've got a little closer and are talking, I'll be like, hey man, I saw your truck. He's like, yeah, but I wasn't nowhere near it. So you may run, just being real, you may run how far from where you put over just to get away.
There's a couple days back in December, when I'd put out at a certain spot and run.
So you don't have to tell where, just
50 miles one way.
Woo. That's what I'm saying. That's the dedication.
Yeah.
That's nuts, man. And I wanted to bring that to light, and I say that not as not as any slights or it's just the dedication. I did not know that until I got to know you better, and that was just like wow.
Well, that's what makes them successful,
Yeah,
right?
Yeah, I was just like wow, and that it is, man. It's just kind of thinking, all right, I think I might have something figured out. I don't have anything figured out. I've got so far to go.
Oh, I don't have it figured out.
No, I'm just saying though sometimes I feel like I say we or I or whoever, right? And I say general public may think, oh yeah, I've got it figured out today because I'm in this area or this, and I had a good day. Sometimes it's just a blind hog finds an acorn once in a while.
There's certain days where anybody can catch them. I mean, I say I could catch them on a red rag with a treble hook.
Yeah, we actually saw Michael catch a citation. Michael Letchworth caught a citation on a treble hook.
Yep.
He bit it in the mouth. And
one was talking about the boats on the water. Would you being on the water every day, with them closing all kinds of seasons? I mean, Rockfish 5 years ago, flounder recently. Are you seeing more and more people target speckled trout?
Yes. I mean, it's gone up so much, and especially in this area. And I'm probably part of that problem. But, I mean, I don't know how else to advertise besides social media.
Yeah.
So.
I would definitely not.
It's a double-edged
sword. Part of the problem. I mean, I understand where you're going with that, but it's also, my philosophy is these people that were flounder fishing, they needed something else. That just happened to be speckled trout.
Yeah.
And the speckled trout are plentiful, right? I mean, now we're going through something that we haven't had in 7 years. So we'll see how we come out on the back end of that. But I mean, these people, they're going to fish.
Yeah.
They're going to fish for something. And most people that spend money to go fishing are looking to keep and bring home and eat.
90% of them. They can say whatever they want to you. They want to keep fish.
So let's pivot on that because we have
Just be able to keep them if they want it.
Right, the option to keep them. So let's kind of pivot to that direction because we are in a time right now that, if you feel comfortable talking about this, okay, we are in a time right now that I know has made it very stressful on you and those captains that do this for a living. That the state has closed the trout season. It is closed right now through June the 15th. Is that right?
June 15th.
We know we've had a cold stun, and we know we see those. Unfortunately, see some of the dead fish around in different places, all up and down. The pictures are coming and stuff like that. Do you want to speak on just to say I know just how hard that's made it on guys like you that do this for a living? That and I know it's made it hard on commercial. I know it's made it hard on different ones, but for you guys that do this for a living, just how has it impacted you, man?
It was definitely a big impact. I mean, since the closure, which was, a week ago?
Yeah.
Maybe.
So we're recording this, just people know, we're recording this in the first week of February. So the closure was in January. This will actually air March, the 1st of March, somewhere in that first week to 10 days of March. So that's where kind of people can know where we're talking about this at.
Yeah, since the closure, I think we counted up last night, I've lost 24 trips.
And you run full day trips? Is that mainly what you're running?
They're about 6-hour trips.
Okay. I mean, you're doing one trip a day.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's what I was saying. Yeah. So that's 24 days of work.
Yeah.
Almost a month of work right there.
Yeah.
Gone that would have been there. So think about your job. They come and say, hey, you guys get 12 months of pay, but we're going to snatch one off the table. You're trying to live on 11.
Yeah.
I mean, that's nuts, man.
It's a scary thing. I have filled some of them in with striper trips. Now, those were 24 trout trips. You know, and I mean, and that's kind of what everybody wants. But I'd say after filling in, I'd say I've probably lost 14 or 15 now.
Wow.
So, I mean, it is what it is. There's nothing you can do about it.
Yeah. But you said
nature said you got too many fish in the system. You know, we're gonna flush it, and that's what she did.
Man. I don't know if you feel comfortable talking about this or not, and if not, I'll edit it out. But you have some really good repeat clients. And when this and part of being a captain is relationships.
Oh yeah.
Do you mind talking about not names and stuff, but how some of your clients kind of checked on you after that closure happened? Do you mind sharing that?
Yeah, they called me up. I probably had, I don't know, 7 or 8 different guys. They were like, look, we're going to keep you in business. So, you know, whatever you need, you tell us. You know, we'll prepay for 2 years worth of trips.
Wow.
Oh,
that's respect right there.
Yeah, and that's where that's why I say when you get into somebody personally, we don't talk about what you catch today. That's what we talk about. That's what we're sharing and talking about. And when that's why
very humbling.
Yeah,
you know, I mean, I didn't make them do that, of course, but
yeah, just the offer, man. I mean, think about it.
Offer.
I mean, this is for a service. It's like, I mean, that's not, you know, that's not that's, you got to think that's awesome, dude.
Yeah.
And that shows your dedication. That shows the relationships you're building with your clients. So, it's if you see somebody out, or if someone talks to you for a moment, that's not a relationship. When you put time invested with people, and you said a lot of your clients, if I understand right, do you have clients that book with you multiple times and because you do multiple seasons, so you may do trout or drum or striper. Do you have clients that kind of hit that various times of the year? Like, do you have?
Usually every group's like 3 or 4 times a year.
Okay.
Yeah.
So they'll
come to Plymouth and striper fish, where they'll do the winter trout here. They'll come to Weldon, bring their kids. They come down to the beach, do some live bait fishing. They'll everybody wants to catch an old drum, and then most of them duck hunt, so they'll come down here to duck hunt in the afternoons. We'll go trout fishing.
So talk about that a little bit. It's something pretty cool you offer. What do you call that, and what is that called now? You told me
the cast and blast.
Yeah,
I just started that this past year. I think it's my favorite thing to do now.
Okay.
So I can't give too many details yet because I haven't nailed it all down, but
basically
a lot more of it next year.
A hunting trip in the morning and a fishing trip in the afternoon. I mean, is that kind of?
It's usually a day of fishing. We eat our catch that night at the lodge, and then we get up and hunt the next day.
That is awesome.
Awesome.
And I saw that you got a lodge and you rent that out.
Got a lodge now.
Okay. You want to talk about that a little bit so people can kind of know?
Yeah, it's in Columbia, North Carolina. It's very centrally located, to Plymouth, the Outer Banks, and the Pamlico. I think it's about 45 minutes away from.
I'm saying it's where I live in Crestwell, so that's why I drive to everywhere. It's basically right in the middle. That's why I can go anywhere.
Yeah, I mean it's a great spot. I love it. So
yeah, that's why people ask me, they say, man, why do you go all? Well, because everywhere's an hour. So what does it matter if I go one place or the other? I mean, I'm gonna go where the bite is. I mean, that's really cool that you've got that. Your clients can take advantage if they want to come down and, let's say, stay the night before and then go fishing with you. So that's another service that you offer, and it's just part of the expanding business, right?
Just adds to the experience.
Yeah, and like you say, sometimes I know just when we fished the Todd, let's say for example when we fished Todd Willis out of Vandermeer, I had never been down there. The GPS said it was 2 hours and 15 or 20 minutes, whatever it was from the house. So you have to get down there by 5:30. What time do you normally blast off? A lot of times, especially in the summer, you're going to get early, right?
Yeah, about 5:30, 5:45.
So I know we wanted to be down there by 5:30. Blast off was, I don't know, after 6 or sometime like that. So we were leaving the house at 2 o'clock. I mean, we were just a bit, and I'm like, man, by the time we got done with the day of fishing, I ain't gonna lie, I was tired.
I mean, you're done by lunchtime.
Yeah, I was tired, and I was like, weigh-in's not till 3. I'm ready to quit that. I mean, and then you get back to the house another 2.5 hours, right? And so just having that availability to have somewhere to stay, and I know Gaston does that actually with some of his clients, offering those same type things, and but that's a pretty cool commodity to have that not a lot of people do. And it's right there. You guys can actually hang out, and that's where you get to make those relationships. Right. It's not just a business of, hey, here you go, take your money and go. It's actually friendships and relationships that you're building.
Well, it turns into a vacation, right? I mean, before I had this place down here, I couldn't tell you how excited I was. I mean, we'd go stay down in Fairfield. We'd stay down there, or we'd come down here and stay, and just you say, man, I got a couple days just to fish and hang out. So that's awesome that you offer that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know hardly anyone that's doing that. So, I mean, you get an awesome guide, and I actually got 2 of them sitting here. Got awesome guides, and you also got a place you can kind of stay and get to know, and that's how you develop friendships and relationships, man. It's time on the water. It's not always what can I get from the person. It's always, I don't know, it becomes a lot deeper, and we talk about being around the water, and most of the time those people are attracted to each other. You have common interests, common goals, common things like that. You learn from each other, different backgrounds, and so that's what makes it look. Yeah. That's where your people are going to call and say, I want you to stay in business because you've become part of my family. You've become part of my family's traditions and things like that. That's wild, man. I'm so happy for you on that, man. So let's see.
I want to talk about rockfish.
That's cool because we're in that season.
We're fishing for rockfish now, and again, we're talking about a season change that's happened. Well, it really affected the run last year.
2 years.
2 years ago.
Yeah, I think it's been about 3 or 4 years when they really closed the big season down. And then we had 2 years where it came in 4 days.
4 days, y'all. 4 days.
And it was like a Saturday, Sunday, then a following Saturday, Sunday. Last year, I don't think we had a season last year.
We didn't. We couldn't keep nothing last year.
Yeah. And then, of course, this year, it's all all catch and release as well.
Is it so they've made that? That was what I was going to ask. They've officially come out with that.
That's what I was told. I've not seen it, but that's what I was told.
That's crazy, man. I mean, you're talking about back in the day. I remember because I kind of got into speckled trout fishing about the same time, but I'll never forget. And this is back when you could net herring. So we went down to Plymouth, netted our own herring, and just absolutely destroyed the rockfish, right? And I think back then it was three per person. It could have been 2. It's been a long time.
You are talking back then a little way.
Oh man, I was in middle school probably. It was just kind of a time where I was old enough to get on the boat, and my dad would take me. And it's a shame that they take that away from us. And I know they say they've got science behind it and all this, but you got to think, man, as a kid, that was something you looked forward to, you had fun with.
Oh, yeah.
And now you're sitting here talking about, and you can't keep a rockfish.
No.
I mean, that's truly insane to me. And that kind of leads to my next question. Do you see most of your clients, I mean, obviously now they can't, but most of your clients before, I would assume, they were coming with you to keep fish?
99% of them.
99%.
Yeah, there was very few, that would say, I don't want to keep anything. I mean, I hear it maybe once every other month. But
Once every other month.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's a man running 300 trips a year, y'all.
Yeah.
That's not somebody getting on the lure twice a month.
I mean, from what I see on my thing, and we're totally different. I mean, you're out there, you're a real guy. I'm just a nobody. But I mean, my people are coming to pay money. They want to take something home.
Yeah.
I mean, I may have done a trip in the last 4 years where we didn't keep fish one time, right? I mean, and I was actually kind of shocked by that. They were like, "Well, we got a freezer full, we're good." Most everybody is out now. Every once in a while, I'll have somebody say, "Well, we only want to keep 3. That's all we need to eat." But most of the time, man, it's, hey, what's the limit?
Yeah.
I mean, what's the limit? How big do they have to be? And let's go to work.
I mean, I love keeping them too. I mean, if they don't want to keep any, I always keep my limit. I mean,
Man, they're delicious.
I mean, I love it. I'm honestly, my daughter loves it. I mean, it's one of the few foods besides the chicken nugget that she'll actually want to say, "Dad, can we cook fish?" Or actually, she loves her granddaddy to cook them. So she calls him Buddy. She'll be like, "Buddy, can we cook fish tonight?" Yeah, sure. And man, we out there and got them filleted up, and she loves it, man. She's like, "I can't wait." I mean, so that's something healthy, something they can actually eat. And
I can tell you what I miss is a freaking rockfish stew.
I do too.
gosh,
My guy was talking about that yesterday.
y'all do it with potatoes and hash and stuff like that. Is that the way y'all do yours?
I do mine different, man. I start with potatoes and onions. I add fish. From there, I add shrimp and bacon, and then I add eggs on top.
Man, I hadn't had it like that.
That's an Elm City thing, I guess.
We always did it with some like corned beef hash and some potatoes and onions and stuff like that. It's the way I've always had it.
That's the way we did it.
Okay. Yeah. Y'all had to add eggs in. So where do you get egg?
Man.
Eggs?
You never had an egg in a stew?
Not on a fish stew.
Man, it's delicious. give it a whirl, man. It's good.
Don't.
That's probably my favorite part.
Damn.
Between that and the little rockfish chunks. And see, when they took rockfish, we started doing it with trout, but the trout kind of mushes up.
Yeah,
and
breaks
falls
apart.
apart.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome, man. That's awesome. So, like you said, people, I know you go up to Weldon. That's not a secret. How does those trips kind of work? Are those kind of the same type thing? Are you fishing up there with popping corks and?
No, it's all bait, all live bait fishing.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, it's a family thing. I mean, it's very well known, very popular place, and it's pretty much just a jump start in the summertime.
Yeah.
I mean, you can run 30 trips up there real quick, and get a good jump start in the summer and come back, which is going to be good this year because I don't know how the trout fishing is going to be in May. Very concerning what I'm seeing now.
Yeah.
So I will say that much.
Now, are your rock trips up in Weldon, are they half-day trips? Or
They're all 4-hour trips.
They're all 4 hours. So you can do a morning or an afternoon, and those are a little different. Okay.
Well, you're probably tired of catching them after 4 hours. That's many to
Yeah.
catch.
We run 2 a day for 30 days.
And you stay up there, right?
I stay up there. Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, you got to. But by the time you do 8 hours of fishing, then you got to take care of your bait, wash your tank out, get ready for tomorrow. I mean, you can't add another hour and a half drive home.
Yeah.
So now in Weldon, it's a little bit different. I mean, you're live bait fishing, but you're drifting, right?
I mean, we anchor up, we drift,
Do you?
we
Okay.
do it all. Just depends on what stage the fish start. So, like, I usually get up there in the middle of, well, it's not 30 days. I usually get up there in the middle of April is when they get there. And those fish, they'll be out there in the sound, and we'll be catching them, and all of a sudden they're gone. and I swear to you, they paddle 160 miles in 3 days.
I've heard that.
I mean, it's crazy.
Something changes and they're like, it's time.
Yeah,
Gone.
put their nose in the current, and they take off.
That is wild,
Now,
man.
do you ever fish them on the way back out? Because I've heard some people
I have a
say
few
it.
times. They'll come up top and start busting. You catch them on top real
Yeah,
good.
I've heard
On the
that.
way back out. The trout fishing's been so good, we just never really
Right.
offered it, but we'll be doing it this year
Yeah.
for sure.
Absolutely.
And I think sometimes, DMF and different ones, man, I know they know it, but it's like, if just because you take pressure off of one species does not mean it's not going
They
to
don't know
translate.
anything.
Yeah.
So clueless.
I mean, that pressure's going to go somewhere else. I mean, it's going to go somewhere else. And that's the part about it that, might be good for that one species, but like you say, people are going to fish. They're going to get out there on the water and enjoy that time and do that stuff. And so, yeah. So, all right. So let's talk about your Outer Banks fishing a little bit. Not asking for spots, none of that stuff. But if someone wants to a lot of people vacation to the Outer Banks. So if they want to fish with you on the Outer Banks, you're there. Give me kind of the roundabout times you're there, and then kind of what you offer there.
So middle of May till the end of July, and it's just mixed bag fishing. It's just
Okay.
trout and drum.
Okay.
You'll catch flounder, you'll catch stripers, black drum every now and then, but we're mainly targeting trout and drum.
Are you live baiting? Are you artificials?
So it's artificials up until the water temperature gets like in the low 80s.
Okay.
Then we kind of switch over.
Okay. So anybody really could do that with you and
Oh,
that
yeah.
kind of thing. Okay.
Yeah.
And that's just making sure folks,
Mm-hmm.
And then you say when you leave there, you're going to head and you're heading back out into the Pamlico basically?
Yeah.
So heading out into the Pamlico to do the drum.
Yeah.
And then that's going to be back popping cork and if
Popping corking and bait. Probably a lot more bait this year.
Okay. And I did hear a lot of guys last year talking about that they had kind of saw that bait bite just being,
Yeah. I mean, I actually had a tower last year for the first time, and I could watch those drum. You'd pop that cork, and then the drum would come up there. He'd follow the bait up. The bait would fall. He'd follow it back down. It'd sit there. He'd swim in circles around it. He just wouldn't touch it.
That is nuts. That is nuts.
Do you have an idea why?
I just think they're getting used to it. I mean, it was really hot when it started, and you can see over the years it's just kind of, we still have our big days, but it was so consistent when it started. It just hadn't been like that.
You think so many people are doing it now that just got where they're seeing it? Because do you feel like the schools, even in the Pamlico and different places, have become more local schools because of the environment, or do you feel like the environment they were able to stay in, or do you feel like a lot of those fish are ocean fish that kind of come in and out?
Yeah, I mean, I think they're ocean fish, but I think they know where they're going. I mean, I think they've been here for a long time. They know where to come back to, just like a duck every year.
So these fish have probably been in and out numerous times now, so they've seen this.
Oh, yeah.
It's like anything. They've seen the new ones are probably, as the new ones get older, they're probably going to
Yep.
be the ones you catch. With the older, wiser ones are probably going to be the ones that they're used to eating live bait anyway.
Yeah.
So that's kind of what they're going to do.
Yeah, I mean, after you throw that cork at, 10 or 15 of them, they won't eat it, and you throw spoons at them and rattle traps, and that cut mullet sounds real good after that. We got to do something.
Well, you have to think about this on the trout side too. How many trout in these creeks have seen a Mardi Gras 17?
Yeah.
I mean, it's like all day, every day. People down the bank, and it's boom. Oh, well, that looks the same. I mean, and that's where I try to do. I do change it up just a little bit, just for something different.
That's what happened with that treble hook. That trout ain't never seen that thing before.
He was like, what?
That is true.
A shoddy 3-prong thing. What kind of fish is that? Let me eat it. On an egg sinker. Wasn't nowhere else. And my man was fishing it hard in the top water column too. But that is awesome. And then so when we get done with red drum, you're transitioning back to striper. Was that right? Or no? I know you got.
Yeah, we do mixed bag fishing all fall,
Okay.
all the way until I start duck hunting.
Gotcha. And then, so for like a non-duck hunter like me, that I know I see the duck hunters out there and hear the booms. What kind of season is that? When does that run?
I usually only hunt at the third split,
Okay.
so it's like middle of December till the end of January.
Okay. Gotcha. Awesome.
Well, have you seen more ducks this year?
No,
Really? Because
no.
this creek is full of ducks.
Really?
I'm just thinking it's because it got colder this year. I've never seen the amount of ducks. There's thousands of buffleheads in this creek. If you just run down this creek, they're just everywhere in these little pockets.
Now, we had the freeze, there was a ton of ducks. But as far as like, November was decent from what I heard. And January was good. But like all of December was just kind of, and it usually is, but was just kind of slack.
You find it where it's more in waves certain times of
Yeah.
the year and stuff like that.
That's right.
The corridors are traveling and that kind of thing. Cool, man. So, let's see. When it comes to just anything else that you may want our listeners to know, or that, that kind of thing, man, is there anything that we haven't asked, or anything that you kind of want to pass along?
I think we're pretty much covered.
Okay. So we've covered boat you're running, fish you're chasing, times of year you're chasing them.
Yep.
Yeah, man. I'm not.
Well, we need to go over how to get in touch with them.
Oh, yeah, we have not done
That's
that.
pretty important.
That is very important. That is very important. So, but if someone wants to follow, like, not follow you physically, but like if they want to, you got enough of that going.
Yeah, you got
enough of that going on. Yeah, you got to be specific with that one. But if people want to be able to get in contact with you, to book a trip, to check out the lodging, to follow you and say, man, this dude is for real legit. Like, where can they go and see some of this stuff? Where do you?
So I got a website and Instagram and Facebook.
Okay, you want to get
All Mott Ridge Charters.
on Mott Ridge Charters.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And he does update those regularly. I'm pretty sure most of our audience is already probably following you some form or fashion, but those that may not know already, and so you can get up with him. He can give you any updates you need and that kind of thing. And then also, you say, so just making sure we got it covered. Mixed bag trout and stuff like that. It's usually a full day. Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay. And then your stripers are half day.
Everything's 6-hour trips.
Okay, everything's 6-hour trips. Okay,
Except for welding, we do 2 half days.
okay, gotcha. Just recapping, making sure everybody's got it. But the websites and the Instagram, Facebook, stuff like that's the best way to do that.
That's right.
All right. And then Gaston has a question that he always asks everybody before we round out. What is your question, Gaston?
But if you had one bait to throw for the rest of your life, what would it be?
A 4-inch fluke on a 1/4-ounce jig head.
I know.
You can catch everything on it.
Yes, you can.
That's a good answer.
Yes, you can. It's up to you. Want to give color or color not matter?
I don't think it matters.
Okay, there you go.
I mean, I'm throwing a fluke. Give me the white.
Yeah.
I was gonna say that's pretty much, and also I might dip the tail in some chartreuse, but I mean that's
Yeah.
that or pink or something. But I mean, yeah, give me some scent on there and a little bit of color. But white's just white, man. It works in everything.
White chartreuse, purple, orange.
I always found that Rockfish love chartreuse.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
It's just trout do too.
Bubblegum
but-
pink.
Yeah.
I mean,
They all hit in different color waters and
you can
stuff
fish
like
them
that.
all year. And, I mean, they always catch.
Yeah. So I got one question I just thought of before we do. So do you subscribe to the? You'll hear different ones talk about it. Do you follow like the majors and the minors and all that kind of stuff and all? Do you see some stuff with that?
I mean, I'm fishing every day, so I'm going irregardless.
You're gonna be there.
But if you had a tough day and then all of a sudden it popped off at like 10 or 11 o'clock and it got really good for a little while and then it shut down completely, you can usually go back and it's spot on.
See, and I was just wondering because I know I look at it and they'll be like, "What are you looking at that for?" And I'm like, evidently somebody's paying attention to it because it's out there. I mean, so but I'm just curious. I was just
So
something.
you do anything with barometric pressure? Do you follow
I don't.
barometric?
I
I
need
don't
to.
either. That's something I'm trying to add,
I have,
but it's so hard. I mean,
it's hard to
there's
follow.
already so many things to look at, but I've heard that too. If the barometric pressure is rising or falling, there's usually a change in the bite,
Yeah.
which, a lot of times the storms or what dictate
The
pressures, lows and highs dictate barometric. So I was just curious about that.
Yeah. And like you say, but if you're out there, the best time to go is when you can go. Just go. Like, just go.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, in his position, he doesn't have a choice.
That's right.
I mean,
But
go fish.
even the average listener, a lot of times we want to wait for the perfect day because we read about this or saw it on an app, and the strike score is a 7.2 tomorrow, and today it's only a 6.7. Who gives a crap? Just go fish. I mean, if you want to fish, fish. The best time you can go is when you can go, right?
And we'll say the most consistent thing with trout I've seen is the worse the weather, the better the bite.
And the bigger the fish usually.
Bigger the fish.
I have seen that with some guys, man. You'll be out there, and I've seen you out there, different ones, like in pictures and stuff, just full rain gear, sitting there blowing a gale, and you're holding a freaking 27, 28-inch trout, man. And I'm like, whoa, that's awesome. And then I thought it might be too rough to go today. There's always somewhere you can go.
There's always somewhere you can go.
Awesome. Well, man, I just want to thank
And
you.
I got some of those special clients that, I can call, but look, guys bailed, weather's going to be bad. They're like, let's go.
See, and that's what I'm talking about. That's awesome, man. That is awesome. Well, look, man, I just want to say thank you so much for coming on.
Yeah. No, thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Yeah, I mean, just for sharing, and guys, get up with him. Like I said, support if you support your local guides. These guys that do this for a living. Get to know them, not just try to get to know what they can give you, or just get to know them. They're awesome dudes. And that's something I've had the pleasure of getting to know more since we've started this podcast, is getting to know some really good people. And I just encourage you to do the same. It's about relationships. It's not about what someone can do or whatever. So just get to know your local guys, get in your local tackle shops, develop those relationships. Thank you again to all of our broadcast partners that are making this month possible. And so from Corey,
Gaston.
But
thank y'all for tuning in, man. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, give that thumbs up if you don't mind. Give a review. If you give us a 5-star, it would be great. If you don't believe it is, that's fine. Tell the truth. But be kind. I will say be kind. But it will help kind of get the word out more, and we want to bring more people on and just help and increase your experience when you're time on the water. All right, y'all. God bless. Take care, and see you on the next episode.
There's nothing finer to me than to be on the water when that sun comes peeking in under that Carolina sky in the Lord's creation, ripping some lips on my favorite waters, taking blind hog adventures with some of my best buddies.